Nintendo does what Steam don't, and that is sell consoles. Ayo guys, yes, people are mad about the Nintendo Switch 2, but you're not buying a Steam Deck. At least most people aren't. Let's get this straight, the Steam Deck is still a niche product and the Switch 2 is still a Nintendo Switch. And I know that the hardcore gamers and the Twitter or X keyboard warriors are already chanting that Nintendo is cooked, they shot themselves in the foot, they're saying this is going to flop like the Wii U, and that the Steam Deck is the superior option, especially since yeah, you can technically run Nintendo games on it. And Nintendo, please don't come after me for just saying that, I'm not doing that. And let's be real for a second, us the fans might be complaining and having discourse over all this, but Nintendo's not worried at all. Why, you might say? Because they have the three biggest things going for them. They have the name brand, visibility, and convenience. You'll eventually be able to walk into almost any big electronics store and grab a Switch 2 off the shelf and boom, plug and play. Meanwhile, getting a Steam Deck can still feel like you're joining a private club with limited seating because you still have to go on the Steam website to buy one and you really don't see any advertisement for it. Plus, the Switch 2 is a hybrid device ready to go out the box. Can't say the same with the Steam Deck where you have to get extra accessories like controllers, docks, or a BIOS update required to get this all going. And when you factor in the price of everything you need to match that experience on a Steam Deck, the Switch 2 ends up being the cheaper and way more user-friendly option. And now yes, Nintendo is catching so much heat over the Switch 2 prices. Very valid criticism, especially when it comes to the $80 games. But given the global economy, it's not a shocker with the console price, at least to me. And it's okay to be upset about it because either way you paint it, it's still really expensive and people are saying that it's too expensive to the point that they're going to boycott it. But let's be honest, remember when everyone said that they would boycott Pokémon? And that worked out so well, right guys? Because eventually Sword and Shield would become the fastest selling Pokémon game ever, and I believe that it's the second highest selling Pokémon game of all time. And you think that fans will learn their lesson, and yet Scarlet and Violet became the third best selling game of all time in the Pokemon franchise. Even the Diamond Pearl remakes and the Let's Go Pokemon games pushed 15 million units each. And the worst part of all is that all four of those games all outsold Pokemon Legends Arceus, a game that actually showed innovation in the Pokemon franchise. And it's crazy because all these people complain about the trailers and they still flocked over to the mainline titles. So if you're thinking that this time's gonna be different, I got bad news for you. Because hear me out, Pokemon fans and Nintendo fans go hand in hand. I know that not every Nintendo fan is a Pokemon fan, but majority of Pokemon fans are Nintendo fans, and these people are not gonna boycott anything. And we have proof of it. So many people tune in into the Treehouse livestream just to spam, please lower the price, Nintendo. And none of that mattered at the end of the day because it did not translate to a true boycott because it's April 30th as I record this and the Switch 2 is sold out. Nintendo even had to issue an apology because they are overwhelmed by the demand, and I know that they're out here feeling like Homelander after such a disaster of a reveal. Meanwhile, the Steam Deck has only moved around 4 million units since its release in 2022, which is still pretty impressive for such a niche device. It's projected to only ship out less than 2 million units for 2025. The reason isn't very clear, could be terrorists, could be just market saturation, who knows. And not to forget that the handheld PC space is getting crowded. And sure, the Steam Deck's the most popular, but it's far from the most powerful at this point. And while the handheld PC gaming was booming, the OG Switch kept selling like crazy. And now we have the Switch 2 and it's reportedly on track to outsell the Steam Deck at launch. And by the end of 2025, Nintendo could be pushing 15 million units sold. And I'm sorry to say it, but this isn't really a competition, it's just straight up domination by Nintendo. And let me explain the whole niche device statement I keep saying, and sorry for those that already left a comment about it, but you might have to leave another comment when you disagree with this take. As I said before, the Switch 2 is a complete device out the box and convenient. You don't have to do anything but plug and play. While the Steam Deck is an enthusiast machine that used to be the stronger device compared to the original Switch. In 2025, the Steam Deck will be behind the competition when it comes to power in the handheld market space, not by a lot but enough to piss off the power users. Now, I almost see the Steam Deck as the best companion device to PC Steam gamers, because if you truly are a gaming enthusiast, you will not be satisfied by the Steam Deck alone. alone. Yes, there will be those who are willing to give up on PC gaming or console gaming because you are gaining the best of both worlds while also being able to be a handheld, but will have to sacrifice power. Something that Nintendo Switch owners know very well, and that there is just a very niche audience. And of course there's nothing wrong with that. You can't just be only a Steam Deck owner, but when you have so much Switch 2 banter and the loud Steam Deck audience is screaming for everyone to jump ship, and then you just take a closer look and think, no wait, we're in 2025, Switch 2 is the new more powerful device by not a lot but just enough. And it is notable enough that CD Projekt Red did say that the Switch 2 is actually running at a better performance than the Steam Deck. And of course that won't always be the case. I know that the Steam Deck can be hard clocked to run even better, but you know, not everyone's gonna go through that. But that's what I'm saying, if you do decide to jump ships, it is an enticing ship because of all the bells and whistles and tricks that the Steam Deck can do. I mean, you can literally play Spider-Man legally, and I'm sure there's a way to play other PlayStation games, and you can play Super Mario Odyssey on it. At the end of the day, this just boils down to the Switch being the Apple device because of all the restrictions, and then the Steam Deck being the Android. What a perfect analogy, and I like both of them, but unfortunately I am caught up in one ecosystem, and I do dream about going back to the Pixel, but I just got everything Apple at this point. And yet people online really want you to believe that the Switch 2 is gonna fail and the Steam Deck is gonna take over. And I understand that the prices are really high. I won't fight you on that. I myself am a little disappointed by the Mario Kart World Direct, expecting something crazy explaining the $80 price tag. And I honestly thought that the Switch 2 might struggle out the gate because of pricing. However, that wasn't the case at all. The pre-orders felt like a fucking Battlefield straight out of Saving Private Ryan, and the damn thing sold out in less than an hour. And I was lucky enough to snag 2 Mario Kart bundles, one for me and one for a friend. So getting Mario Kart World for $50 with the bundle is a total win. Unfortunately, it looks like $80 games are going to be here to stay because it looks like the base console was easier to get than the bundle, and I imagine that a lot of people are still going to buy Mario Kart World as it's the launch title, and it looks like it's going to be selling well, so that means $80 is here to stay. And I can't blame them, because if I couldn't get the bundle, I would be part of the problem because I would still buy the game. What am I supposed to do, not get the game? Come on, I love Mario Kart, and Mario Kart World looks awesome. I want it so bad. It's the reason why I want the Switch 2 at launch. So I'm sorry, I am the problem. So the original point though, the Steam Deck isn't replacing the Switch 2, it never was. This isn't some head-to-head battle, the Switch 2 is the mainstream and the sales are proving it. And I'm not here to say that the Steam Deck is not worth getting. If you're a PC gamer and you don't care about Nintendo, there is a lot to love about the Steam Deck. You get the crazy Steam library, you can get Xbox Game Pass, and you even get PlayStation games now on Steam. Like, it's crazy value. And yes, there's a way to play Nintendo games on it, but you know, the casuals are not gonna go through the trouble of doing all that. Even if it is easy, there's still too much work. It's just not that convenient. But we can return to this topic one day once the Steam Deck 2 comes out and the Switch 2 will be the underpowered machine. That's just a problem when releasing a console in the middle of a generation, but hopefully this time we do get a Switch 2 Pro. But that's everything I got, but let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments, and while you're at it, why not hit this video with a like? That would help me out so much. And if you guys would excuse me, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for my overpriced Mario Kart, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, I appreciate you. Hey, leave your friend code in the comments.